It's Dee on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnston. Before I get to my guest today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Austin High on the show with us today. Austin, how you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
So why don't you tell us a little bit of a backstory and what got you inspired into music, what your influences are, and what you're up to currently?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
And, it's a real pleasure and honor to be here with you. What I'm up to currently, what got me into music? Well, I've been playing drums for, I don't know, most of my life, really. Me and a couple of guys started a garage band when we were in like junior high, and we still are in touch, and all of us still make music. Some of us are playing country music, some of us are doing our own thing, and some of us make punk rock music now, but we all, are still into music and whatnot. But that's kind of what got me started, was just playing drums and guitar and a lot of hardcore music, and back when I was around that age. So it's a little different from what I'm doing now. Now it's like I'm definitely making this synth wave electronic rock stuff with my wife. I came to this point where it's like, well, geez, I need to take on this new instrument in a way. I need to take on this new monster of learning a new way to make music. And I picked up Logic and Ableton, and I started dabbling with that. And before you know it, it became my new addiction. It became my new love, is making electronic music now. And it's definitely different from the stuff I used to make. But I mean, I love it. It's what I do every day when I get home from work, besides, hanging out with my wife and my newborn son. And so, which is also a part of the reason why, I'm not living that kind of like musician lifestyle. It's like, this is easier for the way I'm living now with a wife and a son. And I'm able to make music and express myself to people, whoever's willing to hear it, if anyone will hear it, and still feel good about myself and just love what I'm doing,
Yeah. So what would you say is the biggest misconception people have about drummers?
The biggest misconception, I don't know. A lot of them are pretty spot on. Yeah. We're pretty annoying people. Yeah. We always like to play when everyone's trying to tune and stuff. But I mean, I think that's the biggest misconception. We are arrogant too. I mean, a lot of the things that people come up with about drummers are from firsthand experience, and so. But that definitely, when I was just a drummer, I was all of those stereotypes, and then, I've learned how to play guitar since then. I've learned how to play piano, now I'm into production and stuff. So I don't know, but to that question, they're pretty spot on, all the.
So when you were a drummer too, did you ever feel any pressure when you guys were performing live, or any extra pressure, because you are basically the backbone of the band? You keep the beat down, you make sure that everything goes smoothly, and if you mess up, the whole rest of the band usually tends to mess up. Did you ever feel that added on extra pressure, or did you kind of just not mind too much?
Oh no, I definitely felt that pressure. I mean, and it kind of depends on the show too, you know what I mean? If it's a smaller show, with just friends there, kind of, more like a backyard party type of show, then, I'm not going to mind if everyone's getting drunk and stuff, you know what I mean? But if it's a bigger show, then that pressure definitely starts feeling more present. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So when you were starting out, did you play a different genre, or were you always kind of the EDM kind of rockish music? And then if not, how were you inspired to change genres?
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely been an evolution type thing. We started out playing, typical stuff like the Strokes, the Ramones, Green Day type of stuff, me and my buddies. And, but then we became more of a hardcore band. That was really big back in the day, bands like Catherine and whatnot. And that carried on for quite a while in my life, was hardcore music, playing drums as a hardcore drummer, and or metal or whatever you want to call it. And then it kind of turned into this pop punk thing, right? As we got older, it's like, okay, we're kind of done with the screaming and constantly banging around and whatnot, and getting crazy. I mean, we could still get crazy with pop punk and whatnot, but it's different, you know what I mean? And we had fun with that. A lot of, and you know, then I started playing in some indie bands as well, a lot calmer music, but I've always kind of had a rock influence in my percussion and whatnot. It's like I naturally want to play hard, you know what I mean? I want something to be loud and kind of like an in-your-face type beat, you know what I mean? And so, but I as I got older, I learned how to tone it down and then bring it back up. So,
do you think your experience in those past genres has helped you when it comes to currently like your music writing process, because you're able to kind of bring in a lot of different ideas that have come from your past?
I've heard from, it's hard for me to say that because, you know, I'm talking about myself, and so it's like I don't know if it's making it better or giving me more input or anything, you know. But I've heard from other people, that other producers, they say when they listen to production, a song produced by a drummer, they hear things that they wouldn't have thought of often, because drummers, I guess, look at time differently. We look at time a little differently than other people, you know. But I don't know if that's true or not. I just know, for me, I don't know if that could sound, if people think that when they listen to my music, but I know that people have said that about other drummer producers or other drummers becoming other types of playing other instruments. So
when you were starting your new EDM band, what inspired you to do that? Was there a specific EDM band or song that inspired you, or how did that work?
You know, okay, so I started listening to electronic EDM. I mean, I guess EDM's is it could be EDM, but I started listening to future bass a lot. I don't know. It's like this new style of electronic music, you know, like Flume and Odessa. They're big names in this, or San Holo. Those guys are big guys that influenced, you know, what I wanted to switch. But I never thought that I would be making this kind of music. I never thought I would. Like, I liked listening to it. I enjoyed it, and I think I found this kind of music maybe like 5 years ago or something like that. And I always was like, wow, this is really cool. It's different. It's not like that 4 to the floor, like it's like a slowed down tempo, kind of like trap beat with a lot of jazz chords in it, and it's much more melodical, and it's not like that what was it, dubstep. It kind of spawned from dubstep, I guess, but dubstep was that very like in your face, loud, crazy sounds going on, and this is a toned down, you know, more musical drum, percussion based and jazz based electronic music. And so I guess my ear always kind of caught that, and I didn't realize like that's why I was drawn to it. And then as I started messing around with some DAWs and trying to like record music, I found myself just programming drums now, instead of like, because I even now I don't have the microphone set up for my drums. That'll be happening soon, actually. I'm working on that. So, but that'll be a whole nother type of music that I'll be, you know, recording then, is like rock music and country music. Hopefully I'll be producing more than just electronic music. But, and when I heard all these other, you know, producers and stuff, and as producers kind of got more recognition in the music industry now, it's like back in the day, you know, they were just known as DJs or producers, and they didn't get shout outs as much. Whereas now producers are kind of like, they're known as musicians more now. And as that happened, I was just like, you know, why don't I just try making some electronic music? And then I realized like I can express myself in a whole nother way musically, you know. I've just fell in love with it ever since.
Now, a lot of people get really close to their bandmates. They can be really good friends, but you're married to yours. What is that experience? What has that experience been like for you? I mean, has it been difficult being married to a bandmate and kind of separating that work-life balance? How has that worked out for you?
Oh man, it's oh, just yesterday because we're working on a new song right now. And she is an amazing singer and she is wonderful, but she's never been in a band. And so we do kind of butt heads sometimes, and it's hard, especially, but I mean, with any bands, they do that. But being married, you know, if we do butt heads sometimes, but I think the outcome of it is it's beautiful being able to share this with my wife. Like, this is something I always wanted to do as a musician, like growing up and stuff. I'm like, dude, I want to have a girlfriend or a wife that like I can make music with. Like, that's like the ultimate dream, I think, in my eyes. And so it's wonderful, you know, like I didn't have this microphone that I'm talking into right now until my wife, she was like, oh, I want to cover some songs. She wants to do covers and stuff. And so I got this microphone for her to start singing for covers and whatnot. And so it kind of spawned from there. I'm like, hey, you know, I don't want to get samples off the internet of vocals, which I sometimes still do just to chop up and make cool sounds. But for the most part, all the vocals that you'll hear in my music are either me or my wife now. And because of the mic and her being in this project with me. And so it started this whole like thing that I never thought it would really be. And you know, it's a lot of fun, you know, being able to work with your loved one.
At what point did you find out that she could sing? Was it early on in the relationship or was it later? When was that?
Pretty early on in our relationship. Me and her are pretty goofy. And so pretty early on we were singing around each other and stuff, which I have a horrible voice, but she has a great voice. She definitely has a very sexy jazz voice sometimes that she can take advantage of.
Did she prefer different genres when you met her as opposed to the genres that you like?
She likes pretty much everything I like. She hates hardcore music, though. She hates a lot of the like bands that I listen to. But when it comes to the indie bands and like electronic music or anything like that, we see eye to eye on that stuff, and she likes all that kind of music. She wants to branch out past the type of music that we've currently been making together, and so that'll be happening. It's just hard for me to make anything else, but I think it's slowly turning in. The music that I'm producing is slowly turning into something else than it was in the beginning. Because I mean, I'm still really fresh at this. It's only been like, I mean, maybe 4 months that I've been working with this stuff, and so each project or each track that we come out with, it's starting to turn into something else. And so you know, we're starting to incorporate other instruments into the music now, and instead of just programmed instruments. And you know, soon once I have enough money for the recording setup, it'll be drums and whatnot, and you know, hopefully we'll be making our own genre, you know, by then.
Yeah. What would you say was your biggest struggle starting out this band, and how'd you overcome it?
Oh geez, starting from ground zero. It's like I knew absolutely nothing about sound design, music production, and it seemed like such a big monster to tackle. And then, but once I looked at it like learning any other instrument, you know what I mean? Then it became more like a love for it, and it was fun, you know what I mean? To like learn how to do certain things. It's the same as learning how to, you know, play drums, same as learning how to play guitar, same as learning how to play any other instrument. It's just takes time and a lot of effort and a lot of mistakes, you know.
Did you find it difficult to also sort of promote yourself, knowing that you were tapping into an unknown genre that you didn't really know how to branch out? You maybe might not have known bands locally that were the same genre as you. Did you find it a struggle to publicize yourself and get that publicity out, or was it more easy for you?
Yeah, I do find it a struggle still. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers besides friends from my music, my past in music. And so that's still unknown territory for me is doing that. Right now I'm just trying to share my music with people. Hopefully people will hear it and enjoy it. Let me know what they like about it. Let me know what they don't like about it. And I'm still learning how to promote. We did make like an Instagram and a SoundCloud and stuff like that. But that I'm not really trying to promote it too much right now because I'm still so new to it. But I do feel that people should hear it. I do think that. And I am always like looking for people to bring into this and like make music with somehow, because I do send some of these to I started sending some tracks to a friend of mine, and hopefully he's going to be doing some vocals over some of the tracks and whatnot as well. And so I'm looking for ways to include other people into this project, and hopefully it'll just become something more.
Have you guys played live or played any shows with this band yet?
No, not yet. So that is a whole nother thing that I've actually been looking into that. Okay, so obviously there's only so much you can do live as far as producing your music, and so I've actually been starting to play drums along with my songs, and so if the time were to ever come, which I don't think that's gonna come anytime soon, not with a newborn baby. He's only 4 months old right now, and we're getting ready to move again we're living down south near LA, and we're getting ready to make another move into a new home. And so right now I don't think that's going to happen, but I have been looking into how will I be able to play a live show with this kind of music. And so there have been some experiments I've been making on that.
So did you start this new project when your son was born? Because I noticed you said 4 months you've been doing this, and your son's 4 months. Was that kind of what inspired you?
Yeah, it kind of was. Something about him being around. Like this happened a little bit because I started messing with GarageBand at first. I'm like, okay, so dude, I'm dying not making music. I'm just feeling like I gotta do something with myself. You know what I mean? Besides work and coming home and all that, so I started messing around on GarageBand and stuff, and then I started to get inspired by just the new events in my life, and I felt the need to do more with it. And so that definitely, when around the time he was born or getting close to him being born, I felt the need more to make music. So.
Yeah. So, also being a dad, does that kind of inspire you, any of your lyrics or any of your themes, or do you kind of like to explore other themes?
Oh, no, we definitely explore the themes, breakups, love between intimate relationships between your significant other. But one of our songs is my wife did write lyrics based on our son. And so, and some of the, some of my lyrics, a couple of our tracks actually are about my son. But I mean, I think that the lyrics are, open interpretation too. They could be about, other things to you, it could be about another loved one or something. So.
Now, this doesn't apply to your current band, but we love asking all the musicians that we have on here what the thrill of like performing live. Everyone kind of describes it as like a drug unlike any other. It just a great feeling knowing that you've been practicing your songs millions of times, and then you're finally able to put them onto the audience, and then usually get a positive response. Being a drummer, what does that feeling mean, especially for you?
I mean, Wow, there's definitely nothing like playing drums live in my eyes, but I also haven't even played any other instrument live, and so I don't know. But there is nothing that compares to the feeling of just nailing a song. You know what I mean? One that you, like you said, that you've just been working on for months or however long, and then it just coming out perfect, and then all you and your bandmates all looking at each other and just knowing that you guys killed that song, you know what I mean? And the crowd loving it too. I mean, and just the vibe of being around other bands and whatnot. There's nothing like it, which is why I am working on trying to figure out a way to play this music live, you know, because like we just said, there's nothing like playing a show live. There's nothing like it.
What's the biggest struggle you think when it comes to playing an EDM type genre live? Is it just that a lot of it's technical stuff that you might not be able to do, or what's that all about?
Right now it's funds. So I don't have the money for the equipment that I would need to play this stuff live, and I also don't have the knowledge just quite yet on how I would have it all set up. But, you know, as of right now, I'm thinking that my role, if we were to be playing live, I would be mainly percussion with it. And so, you know, and my wife would be doing vocals and stuff. But there's a lot of it's a whole new world. That's a whole nother thing to tackle as well. You know, now I've learned how to produce it and make it and play it each on its own, but how to bring it all together in a live show without just being the guy just pressing the button and turning a few knobs, you know what I mean, or making sure the volume's correct and acting. You know, I don't really. That's not how I've played music. That's not how I know music. You know, I want to perform it. I don't want to just click a button and then have the tracks play throughout the set and act like it was great. You know what I mean? So definitely trying to figure that out.
Do you think live too that you might need to have more people than two in a band, because you're kind of really restricted to just your percussion, then you'll have vocals, and then you'll have maybe stuff on like the keyboards or the technical aspect. Have you thought about adding another member to the band?
Yes, I have. That is for sure. I just don't know anybody making. I don't know anybody making electronic music. Besides, I mean, a handful of people. But like I said, it's like I've moved so far away from. You know, I used to live in a little town called Oakdale, where almost all of my friends are from, or are still there. Some of them have moved away as well, and so it's hard. And I even recently moved down south from San Francisco too. So it's like I'm moving around so much that it's hard for me to add anybody into a project. And, you know, because then it's just going to end by the time I move, and we're looking to move in another couple months here too. And so it's right now it's just me figuring it all out, hoping people will hear what's going on, you know, and I can get some feedback on it, or maybe get some, you know, followers or people that are digging it. And then if that continues, we'll see where it goes. You know, hopefully I would really love to have another couple people in this project, though. That's for sure.
Is there a goal time-wise when it comes to having a lot of the stuff figured out? Do you have like a specific amount of like months or maybe like a year or whatever? Is there a timetable that you have in mind that you think you want to get all this stuff accomplished?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm always like as fast as I can be. I'm always like, okay, you got to have this done now. You got to have it done quick. You got to have it done quick. But I mean, once we move, I will be looking, because I always find musicians wherever I go. It's like where I'm working right now, I found like 3 new musicians just in the last couple of weeks. I found out that I'm working with musicians and stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's like wherever I land, it's like we kind of congregate. It's like we're just drawn to each other. It's hard to explain, but you just know, and you guys are that's who I end up being friends with, are other musicians. And so once I move again, that's when I will definitely start really like looking like, hey, do you want to make music together? And then guaranteed, I mean, then the music's going to change. But I mean, who knows what it'll be after that. But I definitely want to be producing music now, and I definitely want to be more on the melody side when it comes to creating music instead of just rhythm and drums.
When it comes to melody, do you think you have like a staple melodic type that is distinctive, and do you like to switch up melodies a lot, or do you like to keep kind of a bass down?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I think I might have a melodic sound that is kind of repeating a little bit, kind of like a staple, I guess you would say. But it's like I'll hear that, and then I'll be like, okay, I got to change it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Or like there's kind of a certain sway that I have to my music that that I do try to be aware of, because there is a certain like melody that I'll try to go, that's like my go-to, and then I'm like, oh wait, like I kind of use that same sound, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that also is able to be switched up a lot with like sound design, which is something I've really been working on. And so, you know, there's endless possibilities with this new style that I've been going with the music. So it's so much fun.
Absolutely. So now we're going to our audience's favorite part of the podcast, where we do our questionnaire at the end. 5 questions. I tally the results. I think once we reach podcast 50, like I've always promised, then I'll tally up the results, and then we'll have a winner, and I'll figure out some prize or reward that we'll do. I haven't figured out anything yet, but I think we're in our mid-40s episode-wise. I'm not sure specifically what episode this is, but so we're getting there, everyone. But for our first question, out of all the songs that have ever been written in the history of music, what is one song that you personally wish you had come up with yourself, and why?
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, I think I just said one the other day. Oh, man, you're going to have to give me a second to think about this one. Oh, dude, I don't even know. Oh, this question, what was the song that I just said that about?
While he's thinking, I'd like to remind everyone that John Shannon Nichols, a buddy of mine, is starting out his own podcast, and I'll be leaving a link down below. Everyone go and check out his podcast. Just check down below for the links.
I'm a huge fan of 80s music. Mm-hmm. Huge fan of 80s music. I think it kind of shows too in the music that I've been making. So I would have to go with Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, honestly.
That's a great song.
I mean, I just wish, like, that's a staple in the 80s. That's a staple in, I feel like anybody hears that song and they can sing along.
Especially
to that
growing
song.
Up too, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, that's one song that I wish I would have created.
And the funny thing about that song is that it was an absolute afterthought. They just basically told them, like, hey, we need a song that you need to write for this movie, and then they just came up with it in like 15 minutes, and then they were like, oh, this song's not going to do anything, and then it ends up being their biggest hit of all time, and they can't even write anything compared to that.
And I've heard that happen so much with bands that make it. They're like, it could be the song that they hate the most. It's like the one that they don't want to make it. They don't want this to be the song, you know what I mean? Or they hate playing it. And that becomes the one that everyone loves. And it's that one weirdo that stuck out, you know, oh, we had to make this in 15 minutes, and it just so happened to be our most remembered song.
That's why when you're becoming a musician, you got to be careful what you wish for.
You got to be careful with what you throw away.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
you don't want to just throw away your songs that you're not finishing.
I know. I hate to think about all the countless number of like potential #1 hits that bands have just thrown out right before they're about to release them, because they're like, oh, this sucks. This isn't going to do anything, and then next thing you know, it would become the next big thing. But
oh yeah,
that's
like the #1 thing I try not to do is like finish my song and see where it goes, because you never know what people are gonna like. You know what I mean? You never know what's gonna stick.
All right. For our second question, we have, out of all the musicians that have ever lived, dead or alive, doesn't matter. You can choose either one. If you could perform live for one show with any artist, who would it be and why?
Oh, geez, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I would just love to be on stage with that man.
Mm-hmm.
That is just, that must have been a sight to see. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I,
Uh,
I I took a pop music class in high school, and I didn't know this, but I learned in there that the reason why he was such a good guitar player, though, is that he had super abnormally large hands.
oh, really?
Yeah, like he had like super huge hands, so he could grip a guitar, unlike like most people could. So he could actually like hit the chords that like people couldn't reach with their normal hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that, but yeah, we spent like a half day on Jimi Hendrix. It was a great class. I highly recommend anyone out there in college, or if you have it available in high school, take a pop music class or a music class in general. They're very very interesting if you want to know about the history of things. And it was again promoting music, because there does seem to be a thing in schools where what's one of the first things that goes when it comes to budget cuts? They usually take out the music program, so just make sure to support that. So our third question is, out of all the venues on the planet, if you could perform live at any venue, where would it be and why?
Oh, geez, that's another hard one. Honestly, I don't care where I perform. That's not a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of, if there's people that are gonna be able, that are gonna want to listen, I'll be there. You know what I mean? Like that. That's all that matters to me. Is are there people there? Are do they want to hear my music?
Well, I mean, there's a big difference between playing in your backyard and playing in front of Madison Square
Oh,
Garden and everything.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to play in my backyard. No, but my dream, I honestly don't know that one. I don't have. That's not in in my dream right now. Is a certain venue or a spot. I don't know.
I'll put down undecided, and then if you do think of one eventually, you can just message
Yeah,
me on Facebook,
okay.
and then I'll just add the word at the bottom, be like, he chose blah blah blah. I'll just have it come right
Yeah.
now.
I'll
So-
have to think about that.
Yeah. So now we get to the real nitty gritty. Now we got guilty pleasure song. What is a guilty pleasure song that you enjoy that maybe not even your wife knows?
Oh, let's see. Any T Swift song, any Taylor Swift song, I find it to be a guilty pleasure for me.
What's your favorite song of hers?
Oh man, her new album that she came out with was, the whole thing was fire. I think honestly, what was it, Redemption or something like that? What was the name of that album?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan to know every single one of the names of her songs, but yeah, that whole album I kind of listened to, and I was pretty impressed by it actually. And yeah, that is definitely my guilty pleasure.
Oh, that's great. So now, lastly, guilty pleasure genre that you enjoy.
Guilty pleasure genre, butt rock.
Right.
I'll listen to some Nickelback every so often. That, not necessarily Nickelback, but the genre that Nickelback's in, the butt rock genre. I'll listen.
You
I'll
named the
listen to
band that
stuff.
must not be named. But at least you didn't say your guilty pleasure song was a Nickelback song, because I would have had to cut off the podcast right then and now.
No, I won't listen to Nickelback
Yeah.
in general. I'm saying that genre.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
like
yeah.
Creed, that genre. I can't think of.
Oh yeah, Creed's got
any
some
of
good
it.
songs too. I mean, they were so popular back in the day that, I mean, when a band's that popular, they have to have at least a few good songs.
I don't think they really have good songs. It's just for some reason I'll listen to that genre of butt rock.
Why do they call it butt rock? Just because it's the shitty type of rock?
I think there's just this sound to it that I don't think it's necessarily shitty. I think it's just so been done in rock so many times. It's just like that butt rock, like that, like do 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 do. I don't know how to like explain it. It's just not good.
Yeah, exactly.
To
So
me,
our
it's-
final two questions that we got here, if someone ever was walking up to you on the street and said like, "Hey, I'm really interested in becoming a musician, getting started in a band," what would be the best piece of advice that you could give them in order for them to be successful?
I don't know. I'm not that successful, but to be successful at their instrument. You know, I've actually had a very close friend of mine, Jordan McCormick. I've known him for so long. We're not close anymore like we were, obviously, but growing up, we were always hanging out, always together. Our families were friends. And one day, I think sometime mid high school or something like that, he tells me he wants to become a drummer, and I gave him the advice that like I wish I would have gotten when I started out. You know what I mean? Like, learn your rudiments first of all, and make sure you can do everything with your left hand that you can do with your right hand, or whichever one's your dominant hand, and just like practice like that. You know what I mean? Making sure that everything is solid on both sides, and because that if I would have learned that starting out, then I feel I would have been a lot better as a drummer. You know what I mean? A lot of obstacles would have been easier to overcome. And also playing to a click track for any musician, I think playing to a metronome and practicing to a metronome is just like the utmost important like piece to becoming a solid musician. Because even to this day, it's like I have this time in my head that I want to play to, and that's not the right time most of the time. You know what I mean? And so, and now that drummer Jordan McCormick, I believe he's still playing drums, and he's like twice the drummer I am, I think. And so it just goes to show, like, if I would have gotten that piece of information, maybe I would have been better. But
so you already answered my next question, which was if you could go back like 5 or 10 years and give yourself a piece of advice musically. So you already answered that. Yeah. But where can people find you and find your music? I mean, I know you have Facebook, but you guys, do you have any of your songs on SoundCloud, Spotify, any of those? Where can people find your music?
All of my songs from the time I started out, and so a couple months ago, and of this band are on SoundCloud. And you can look that up. We're actually under Alto is the name we're going as. And that's actually Spanish for high, which is our last name. Oh. And so all the music's on there, and that's from before my wife also started doing vocals with it. And so you'll kind of hear the progression of the production, the music production getting, you know, hopefully better. Yeah. And then, you know, we also, I started an Instagram, but it's like, it's hard with the life I'm living, you know, having my family, which comes first. And then making the music, which takes like, you know, I'll get up at, you know, 4 a.m. to spend a couple hours before work. And then I'll stay up until 2:00 at night after work, you know, so I can make some music and whatnot. And then, you know, I have my family time, which comes first, and then work, and then music. And so, and then, so the like we talked about before, the media and stuff like that, I'm not too solid on that, but I'm trying to get better with that. I'm trying to post more things on Instagram. We haven't made a Facebook specifically for this band that we're doing. So it's mainly just, you know, Instagram and SoundCloud right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll leave a link down to everything down below, and hopefully, I mean, this helps you out a lot. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about your music. I really think you got something going here. I mean, EDM is such an unexplored, I mean, not too many people know about it. So all it takes, and the good thing about that is that all it takes is a couple of good songs to really get people interested in the genre. So, I mean, you can go anywhere from where you're at right now. So obviously, I mean, we wish you nothing but the best. If you need to come on again to promote anything, you're absolutely more than welcome to come back on the show. If you need me to plug anything too, just let me know you have an album coming out, or if you guys have a few shows in the area. I mean, I've had a few California people on here, so I like to think I have a few fans down there that might be interested in seeing you live. So I mean, anything you need at all, just let me know. And again, everyone, Alto, go check them out. They got, these people really seem like the real deal, and plus they're a husband and wife thing, so that would be definitely interesting to hear what that sounds like on a recording. So I mean, like I said, we wish you nothing but the best, and thanks again for coming on, man.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the Spot, signing out. Have a great night, everyone.